Paul Wilkinson, and we're filming from my home in Kathmandu. And today I wanted to introduce you to some of the smaller Tibetan singing bowls and show you how to play them, the different qualities that you can bring out of them, and just some of the different shapes and sizes, and the difference between the thick-rimmed ones and the thinner ones, the decoration and what that might mean, how to find a talking bowl amongst a small bowl. And I've been working with Tibetan singing bowls for about 25 years, collecting and dealing and supplying most of the top sound therapists, certainly in England, and a lot of the top sound therapists around the world. And so people like Tim Wheater and Liz Cooper from the British Academy of Sound Therapy, and Sheila Whitaker, they all have their collections from me. So I'll show you a sort of introduction, and we'll see where we get. So this is a very nice quality antique bowl. It's a few hundred years old. There's a few things here that the top rim has a little indentation, and then we've got these decorative lines, and it's even got some writing engraved on the side. And so with the small bowls, you want to not really touch the side. You want to have a flat hand, and also you have the problem of it rolling out of your hand. So I always have a sort of slightly cupped hand like that, and I have my fingertips ready to catch it so I can move with it. But if you practice holding it like this, you can see you can hold it a bit loosely, and it's still sort of, it's not dropping on the floor. So you probably want a stick this sort of size or smaller. This is a hardwood stick. You don't have to give it the tap like that, like I did. So I'm moving from my shoulder and elbow, not so much from the wrist, just to keep a nice, steady, even playing around it. I'll show you with the leather. So the leather takes the higher frequencies out of it. But with the small bowls, it's a little bit harder to play with the leather because they've got higher notes. This is a softer wood. Actually, the softwood grips a little bit better on the small bowls. And in general, the thinner the stick, the higher the note. So you can even get these super thin, pencil thin playing sticks made of things like ebony, which bring a very, very high note out from the bowls. So you can see this has got nice decorative lines inside. It actually feels like a really good quality bowl. The antique bowls are a 7 metal mix made of a sort of bronze alloy, and with other metals, including a little bit of silver and gold. So it's 7 metals for the 7 chakras and also for the 7 main planets. So I'll show you a few different shapes. This is also a nice old bowl, several hundred years old. You can see the difference in thickness. This one is thicker on the sides and it's coming up, but you've got these other lines. So at some point I would test, and lines here, I would test lining up from there to the edge, and that might give you an exact amount of water to. So because it's slightly thinner, it's a slightly deeper note, and also the shape of it, slightly bell-like, produces a little bit more volume. So you want to try and get a nice even sound. So one of the difficulties people face with the small bowls is that the sticks will sometimes rattle off because the frequency is high. So this one's doing something interesting. You can hear it's gradually getting higher as I'm playing. So I'm going to increase that by pressing a little bit harder and increasing the speed. to try that with a harder stick. Actually, I'm going to do that with that stick. So the weight allows you to, so you see the thicker stick gives me again. So if you're buying one of these bowls from a shop, it's always a good idea to try with a few different sticks, or wands they sometimes call them. So you can see you can get a variety of different notes from the same bowl. This one will respond a bit better with the leather because it's a thinner bowl. So sometimes when a bowl produces a very high note like that, they'll use it for space clearing. So they'll bring that into the space and they'll play it near to the different objects and move around and listen to the way the sound varies, and when the energy is a bit stuck, the sound dies away a bit, and when the energy is cleared, the sound lifts up again. So I'll show you a few other shapes. So this is quite a rare bowl. If this were on a website, it would be under the rare category because of the shape. You've got this nice dish shape, which will still play nicely, but not holding the volume quite so much, but still very, very nice steady sound, and you can hear it has a sort of an oscillation in it. This is a very, very old bowl. You can see the patina has gone sort of darker because of the age. It's also very, very thick for this size bowl. Nice and steady. So some of the other smaller bowls, this is extremely nice, and it's got writing in I think probably a Bangladeshi dialect on there. So these are coming from all over the Himalayas. They're coming from Nepal, Tibet, Sikkim, Bhutan, the parts of Nepal, the parts of India which used to be Nepal, like Nagaland, and then even some parts of India as well. But they're generally from the upper parts, from the mountainous areas of the Himalayas. So that's, I'm trying to find something a bit different. Okay, that is extremely rare. Again, it's got the very, very thick top. That's going to be really hard to play because it's so small. I'll have a go, but it's probably better as a struck bowl. So you've got the lovely harmonic where it's two or three notes actually in there at once. You hear the oscillation where it's wah ba 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 ba. I don't know what my microphone's picking up on. No, that's hard to play with this. So you probably, no. This is right on the edge where the amount of resonance from the bowl and the thickness is making it hard to play. It's almost impossible to play. If I had a stick a little bit thinner than this out of this wood, but heavy, then I'd have a chance at getting a sound out of that. But this one's really better as a struck bowl. It's actually quite nice as a struck bowl. And very old, very, very nice quality, really just wonderful shape. So you also have these shallow bowls. This is a very nice example. You see you've got this decorative line on the edge. Sometimes on larger bowls that's like a micro groove, which is also a form of fine tuning, and it's slightly splayed out, slightly tulipy shape on there. It's got lines on the inside which again I would test with water to see. Nice solid sound. This is sort of heavy enough as well to be nice and firm in the hand. Something like, I've got a thin one here, there. That's extremely light, and although it will play, it's a little bit harder to hold it in the hand. This one's actually quite easy, relatively easy, because it's got a very flat bottom. So I'm just looking for one that's going to be tough. That one would be tougher. So this is a little bit thicker on the top rim, but you just have to be nice and steady with it. This is very, very high. So this is a bowl that people would categorize as a space clearing bowl. So you could use it in Feng Shui for clearing space. So that sometimes these very, very high notes, and again it's got very interesting writing along the top edge in a tiny dots. I think that's probably Nepali. I need to have someone look at that. Up in the Himalayas you have literally hundreds and hundreds of dialects. So I think Nepal has 70 or 80 languages for a country half the size of England, and there's not really that much mixing often between the different tribal groups and castes. So you can be even 50 miles outside Kathmandu and be in a village where no one speaks Nepali, and it's been quite interesting going and filming with my camera crews, and maybe you're in a Gurung village or a Sherpa village or a Tamang village, and they just speak Tamang or they just speak Sherpa. We've been in funny situations where there's maybe a child that can speak Nepali, and or I've been in situations where one tiny child speaks some English, and my entire camera crew, even though they've got Hindi and various Newari and other Nepali languages and dialects, we've been in situations where even between us we've got no one who speaks the language in that village, and sometimes rescued by a 9-year-old who's gone off to school and has Nepali or little bits of English. So that's a very nice bowl, again really old. You can see traces of lines which have been, and little decorative dots where many hundreds of years where this has worn over the years. So I think that one maybe is a talking bowl. So let's try it. Yeah. So about 1 in every 100 bowls is a talking bowl. So the way you find that out, and I'll pull that away, you need exactly the right amount of water. So when you play it, the talking bowls usually have a very rich resonance and several notes inside the sound. I can usually hear it even without putting the water in, but then I've got a lot of experience with it. But I'm just going to pour that in and show you. So here, one of the things which is quite interesting is when you get these lines on the inside, when you put exactly the right amount of water in from the line to the edge, it's an indicator for some sort of sonic effects. So in this case it's the exact amount of water for a talking bowl. Different sides of the bowl are going to be the like sweet points where you so there's also an indicator with a line in the middle where there might be a way to have more water. So I'm going to fill up. Right. drying on my shirt. Yeah. So you've got two different indicators, one with more and one with less. Both where they're playing really well. And so with the talking bowls, you basically don't want your hand to be flat underneath. So I'm going to see if I can find a talking bowl which is a little bit more responsive. No, that's not one. I'll just... No. Let's see what else I have here. So usually what I do is I'll have the tap running and just sort of like a small dribble like that, and you tap the singing bowl, and when you get exactly the right amount of water, if it's a talking bowl, it will make a sound like whoop. Okay. So this one. So these have got, in the different sound therapy books, they've got various names like talking bowls and dolphin bowls and water bowls. What you really need to do is find one which does it while you're playing. So I'll only really count it as a talking bowl if it does it playing as well as struck. You've got these tiny cymatic patterns in the water as well. So basically the higher the pitch, the smaller the ripple patterns. And I'll show you a couple of other rare shapes which are small. This is again quite interesting. This shape, when they're a little bit larger, you can get them to make a struck sort of wong echoey sound. They play, but these are actually better as a struck bowl than as a... But they're pretty hard to get going because of the very thick top edge. But you hear as a struck bowl, they're lovely. I'll try it with a bigger... Sometimes this one doesn't have lines on the inside, so it's... But I'm just going to try it because it's... Yeah. Hold on. You hear? I don't know if you can get that with the microphone, but it's making a sudden sort of boom. Very... Yeah. So quite often you've got these lines on the outside. This one's doesn't have lines on the inside, but the larger ones usually have circles which again give you an exact amount of water lining up from the rim to the inner circle. I don't know why they've tuned them to do that, but they've obviously done it on purpose because it's a particular sonic effect. So another demonstration of a small bell. Here's a very, very unusual shape with a sort of semi-stand on it and a tulip shape. I've only had a few of these in the whole time I've done this, in the last 25 years. quite nice, quite steady and calm. They're fine for doing for stimulating the chakras, but the smaller bowls, it's harder to feel the vibration going into the body. So for doing those sorts of exercises, you really want something about that sort of size, which is so that would be like 3 or 4 times the price of the small ones. But you've just got a lot more volume, so you can feel the vibration much more clearly into the body. And then another small one. This is a Naga bowl. Nice because you can move it around, you can move it into the space. So sound therapists use it for moving over people when they're healing. Space clearing people, Feng Shui practitioners, will use it waving the sound into the space like that. So they'll work into the corners of the room and listen to the sound and then release the trapped energy. So it's trying to bring everything into a sort of harmonic state or harmonious state. This one's gone very high suddenly. I'll just show you the little bit of technique where I'm increasing the speed and I'm increasing the pressure. Very, very high sound. So that would also count as a space clearing bowl because of the very high frequencies. And yeah, that's more or less the range. So you've got everything from these thin, shallow to so basically when they've got the steeper sides, they hold more resonance than the shallow ones. So because you've got much more of a bell-like. And a little bit of technique where you're wrapping you're keeping the hand flat, but you're ready in case it, yeah? And you can also even tip the bowl with the sticks so that by the time it's here, it's round. Like that. I'll just show you the difference in the amount of resonance. So it's still lovely, but it's a thinner sort of a sound. And again, the difference between, so it's got a sort of open sound as opposed to something like that, which is taller. It's got more resonance again. So in the sort of category of small bowl, you've usually got anything from that sort of size up to about that. And just to show you scale wise, that would count as a medium. A little bit smaller than that, and up to about a third bigger counts as a medium sized bowl. So I'll just show you. So again, in general, the bigger the bowl, the more the resonance, and also the longer the sustain because the wavelengths are bigger. And a little bit more variety of being able to play with the leather. So you can, most small bowls you can play with leather, but when they're thick, often it's pushing it. So you can see it's hard to do with the leather because of the leather basically drowns out or dampens the high frequencies. So it's hard to do with leather, but really easy to do with the wood because the wood's bringing out those higher frequencies, and it's worth trying with a few different sticks. Yeah, you see. So that's that's a bit of an overview with the small bowls. And I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, do please give me feedback. Subscribe to the channel if you found it useful and interesting, and you're very welcome to share it widely. And thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.